Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the case of Victoria Goodwin. First I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Victoria Lynn Goodwin was born in 1993 and was raised in California's San Fernando Valley. From a young age, she demonstrated an aptitude for golf. She attended college on a golf scholarship. In 2015, Victoria was forced to give up golf after being diagnosed with a rare medical disorder. In 2018, she met a man named Aaron Goodwin, and they became romantically involved. Aaron had been born in 1976 and raised in Portland, Oregon, so he was 17 years older than Victoria. As far as his career, Aaron moved to Las Vegas, Nevada in 1998 to pursue filmmaking. Eventually, he was hired as a cameraman for a TV show called Ghost Adventures. Later, he was given the opportunity to move from behind the camera to in front of it. Ghost Adventures is a paranormal reality television series that follows a team of people who refer to themselves as investigators as they explore locations said to be haunted. The crew uses various pieces of equipment like digital recorders and thermal cameras in an effort to capture evidence of the paranormal. One of their ongoing routines is to spend a night locked inside a haunted location, documenting their experiences in real time. Aaron's job often involved being left in paranormal hotspots as bait for the ghosts. His primary skill appeared to be looking surprised. The show never found any evidence of the paranormal. A viewer is no more in danger of seeing the investigators discover ghosts than they are of seeing the investigators demonstrate any appreciable talent. Despite being an incredibly boring show, Ghost Adventures was on for 19 seasons on the Travel Channel before moving to Discovery Plus in 2021. At the time I'm making this video, the show is up to 28 seasons in total. They simply refuse to leave the ghosts alone. One can make a good argument that the ghosts need a restraining order. They are probably thinking, wait a minute, I thought we were supposed to be the ones doing the haunting. Moving back to the relationship between Victoria and Aaron, according to court documents, the couple married on May 4, 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Instagram posts tell a different story, indicating the couple was married at Disneyland's Haunted Mansion in 2022. Maybe the couple had a private ceremony in 2020 and then a more extravagant wedding in 2022. It's not clear. Either way, they definitely married at some point. However, everything didn't work out as expected. In September 2024, the marriage hit a speed bump. According to Aaron, Victoria had sex with multiple men. Aaron tried to work things out with her due to a sense of loving commitment. As it turns out, Victoria had something other than reconciliation on her mind. This brings me to the timeline of the crime. On October 3, 2024, prison officials in Florida seized a cell phone from an inmate named Grant Amato. He is a notorious killer who, in 2019, murdered his mother, father, and brother due to an infatuation with a Bulgarian webcam model. He was later convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. I covered the case of Grant Amato in a separate video. Prison officials eventually examined the cell phone seized from Grant and discovered some troubling information about Victoria Goodwin. On March 4, 2025, they contacted the authorities in Nevada. Here is what the police found during the course of their investigation. Victoria and Grant had been communicating since March 2024. They were in some type of creepy, long-distance romantic relationship. Victoria was inspired to reach out to Grant after seeing a documentary about his case titled Control-Alt-Desire. The couple talked about how much they were in love and how Victoria's husband Aaron would not accept a divorce. On October 2, 2024, Victoria and Grant discussed setting aside $11,515 to hire a third party to murder Aaron. Victoria wrote, "I'm so anxious, LOL, and asked, am I a bad person?" When Grant asked her why she would say that, she responded, "Because I chose to end his existence, not divorce." Victoria sent photographs of her husband to Grant. She also supplied Grant with information about Aaron's vehicle and location. At one point, when speaking about Aaron, Victoria wrote, "He's asleep right now in the hotel room." This makes it seem like Victoria was pretty serious about Aaron being killed. On the next day, October 3, 2024, Grant contacted an alleged hitman and indicated he would call Aaron to distract him. Later that same day, Grant asked if he completed the killing, writing, "I need to know what is going on. Can I get an update? Was it done?" As I mentioned, prison officials seized Grant's cell phone this same day, October 3. Through the course of their romantic relationship, Victoria sent $60,000 to associates of Grant, although some of this may have been due to blackmail and not to keep the murder-for-hire plot moving. When the police confronted Victoria, she admitted that she was having marital problems, but denied plotting to kill her husband. She wanted to be with Grant instead, but described this desire as nothing more than fantasy and daydreams. Victoria no longer felt that way and did not remember sending messages about a murder for hire to Grant. As far as the money she promised Grant, Victoria thought it was for cell phones. On March 6, 2025, Victoria Goodwin was arrested and charged with solicitation to commit murder and conspiracy to commit murder. 6 days later, Aaron filed for divorce, mostly because of the murder part. The filing read, quote, "The views, tastes, likes, and dislikes of husband and wife have become incompatible to the extent that it has become impossible for them to live together as husband and wife in marital harmony. There is no possibility of reconciliation between husband and wife," unquote. I would guess that the main problem was that one of Aaron's likes was being alive, but this was also one of Victoria's dislikes. On April 22, 2025, as part of a plea bargain, Victoria pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder. She was sentenced on June 5, 2025. At the hearing, the prosecutor did not offer a sentence recommendation, rather talked about how invested Victoria was in the murder-for-hire plot. Victoria's defense attorney made several points. For example, Victoria was the only person charged, not Grant or the alleged hitman. She had no criminal record, and Victoria abandoned the murder-for-hire plot in November 2024. He also pointed out that Victoria understood there were consequences for her actions. For example, even though her family would have posted her bond, Victoria decided to remain in jail. Victoria addressed the court directly, saying, quote, "I would like to apologize to Aaron. I'm so immensely sorry for the pain and anxiety I've caused you and the betrayal you undoubtedly and rightfully feel by my actions. I need you to know that I will always hold love for you. I genuinely pray you find your joy and peace again, and I will bow out of your life forever to hopefully ease that process. I'm sorry I broke us, and I'm consumed with regret every day. My absolute promise to you is that you will never see or hear from me. I intend to leave the state of Nevada, and you and anyone else will never be in danger of me again," unquote. Aaron Goodwin spoke to the judge. Referring to Victoria, he said, quote, "She made me feel so special, and she was so sorry. At least, that's what you told me. Now, discovering she put a hit out to kill me more than once, got blackmailed, and spent almost all of our savings to keep it quiet, and fell more in love with the motto. Then even got spiritual married, and now I was called the first husband. They talked until she was arrested, and she sought out his help to kill me," unquote. Aaron indicated that he will never feel safe again regardless of whether Victoria received the minimum or maximum sentence. The judge sentenced Victoria Goodwin to 3 to 7.5 years in prison. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. In 2019, Aaron referred to Victoria in an Instagram post saying, quote, "I'm so lucky to have her in my life. She helps me when I'm down, and she always makes me laugh. I always feel safe when she is next to me, holding my hand," unquote. It seems clear that Aaron once felt strongly that his relationship with Victoria was positive and productive. But of course that changed after she was arrested. Many people were touched by Aaron's speech to the judge at Victoria's sentencing. For example, at one point he said, "I cry every day. I feel so alone." Aaron appeared to be sincere, and the depth of Victoria's betrayal was evident in his words and his delivery. When Aaron was told by the police that Victoria was arrested, it must have been frightening and confusing for him on many levels. He mentioned that Victoria had some infidelity issues, so clearly Aaron knew his marriage wasn't perfect, But to go from that point to a murder-for-hire plot is quite a leap, especially considering Victoria was having an emotional affair with a convicted murderer, someone who is definitely willing and capable of following through with a homicidal plan. This brings me to item number 2. Victoria selected one of the creepiest offenders in history as her emotional affair partner. Grant Amato is undesirable in just about every way imaginable. It's nearly impossible to find anyone who is more undesirable. Some romantic partners are described as being at the bottom of the barrel, but that would be a promotion for Grant. He is 10,000 feet below the barrel. Grant would be happy if he was even close enough to see the barrel. A lot of marriages have trouble. It's not necessarily surprising Victoria was unhappy with hers. She may have had her reasons. But how does that lead to contacting Grant? Victoria's attraction to Grant defies rational explanation. Why did it seem like a good idea to reach out to a convicted killer? So Victoria watched the documentary about Grant Amato, Control-Alt-Desire, and somehow thought to herself, oh, this is the guy I need to be with. Here is a man who has figured everything out. He is going places. The future is with him. He has so much more to offer than anybody who is not in prison for life. Victoria's decision was probably driven by emotions and is consistent with not having any critical thinking skills. Even though contacting Grant was a mistake, Victoria could have just stopped there. No crime had been committed. Instead, she conspired with him to kill her husband. She was talking to a man whose communications should have been monitored by the authorities. Victoria is extremely fortunate that she did not end up in prison for life. If Grant had been successful at getting the alleged hitman to complete the job, that is exactly where Victoria would have found herself. Item number 3, what do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. The reaction most people had to the documentary, Control-Alt-Desire, was a feeling of disgust. When Victoria watched it, she was fascinated and excited. In Grant Amato, she saw a man who was willing to commit so intensely to a woman in a long-distance relationship that he wiped out his family. He demonstrated a homicidal level of commitment, perhaps due to issues in areas like attachment, identity, fantasy, or power and control. Victoria believed that Grant was the perfect lover. This dangerous and distorted perspective led to Victoria starting a relationship with Grant. As the romance progressed, the destructive dynamics led to the murder-for-hire plot. Eventually, Victoria did come to regret her criminal behavior, but it was too late to escape the consequences. Not only did she end up in prison, she caused Aaron a lot of misery. Aaron Goodwin spent a good portion of his career trying to convince people that he could tolerate being alone with ghosts. Now he is afraid that he will be haunted by one who is very close to him. Unlike the ghosts from his show, this one has proven that she can reach out from afar. Those are my thoughts on the case of Victoria Goodwin. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Just a reminder that I have over 300 pre-release videos on my Patreon account. The videos that I put in pre-release status on Patreon are of the same quality as the videos I release to the public. When I put them in pre-release status, they usually stay that way for several months, if not a year. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video.